We'll have the last part of the mosaic coming online. And part of Sherman may actually carry forward into 2020's numbers. So again, major developments there that will move that needle above the background noise of 0.25% or so. So yeah, I think that those numbers will trend positive well past 2027.
And is this including reserve? Is this including the use of reserves for if we adopt this new policy of stabilizing debt?
No, that's a different concept. This is the allowable levy limit of the state, assuming that we manage at 2% growth. So how we, 2% growth not including debt service management, because debt service is driven by schedule, not by growth factor.
So these numbers wouldn't change whether we were doing that or not, whether we were doing the debt stabilization or not.
Will we be using this line 14? Is that the same fund that you're proposing using for debt stabilization? No, it's different.
No, it's just a mathematical representation of our capacity with the state based on existing data and projections.
And their formula.
And their formula, which, you know, we could have a new governor at some point. Who knows what will happen there, but nonetheless, the outcome of this is managed tax rate growth. And it's not a race to see how high you can go. It's showing that with managed tax rate, we will not run into any critical issues under levy limit, current levy limit law, at least in the midterm. Page 5 then repeats lines 13, 14, and 15 above, just for some baseline. We do have some bond premiums on line 17 that are eligible to be applied towards debt service needs. 2% operations and capital on line 19. We do have line 20 showing that in a dollars figure, roughly about $200,000 a year for operations and capital has already been built into these models. Lines 22 to 28 is where we start looking at some of our TID values and how that is going to impact, you know, the bigger picture down the road. Line 28 is what drives our non-TID assessments. It's our non-TID assessed values, net of incremental value. So that's where we calculate line 30 is our moderate tax levy divided by our net assessed value on line 28. I did have a little mini note as takeaway from last year's conversation of exactly the meaning of that net assessed value computation there. We go on, and again, the metric we use on line 32 then is to take our levy divided by a constant residential value number based on a $300,000 value in 2018. So we're going to look out that again, if everything in this schedule were to be exactly as projected, the change in village-only taxes on line 33 per household would be reflected there, and that's also found in percentage change as well. Took that one step further, as I'm naturally resistant to projecting TID closures and certain items like that, but we are getting to the point where we have completed most of our expenditures. We're shortening up the windows on some of these forecasting. We've loosened up our forecasting models a little bit, at least at the CDA level. So we've talked about the the total dollars, 35 and 36 are dollars of tax relief that the TID increments will generate to our non-TID properties. I did one for village only and one for all districts under current law and expectations. So that's in line, in 2021, right before TID 1 is projected to close, that estimate is $634 per household.
Where's that? 600, 30 for the red one.
The red number.
Got it.
So to put it another way, and I'm going to try to frame this in a positive way as I can. Every house with $300,000 of value will get $634 of tax relief from here to eternity, based on the TID developments that generated those increments will ultimately turn into assessable tax base as opposed to increment tax base.
So if that wasn't there, in 2021, this is from TID 1.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the music.
It's pretty good though.
Yes.
Please restate your question.
Okay, so can I don't understand that quite as much. If in 2021, we're assuming we're getting tax relief from TID 1 closing?
Well, 2021 is the precipice that we can make a calculation of if all tax districts were to close simultaneously, what would that mean quantitatively?
So that would be all of them?
And that would be $634 per $300,000 of base value.
But they won't all be closing in 2020.
But they will not all be closing. So you see that's why it's called pending tax relief. And that amount of pending tax relief gets scheduled out over the next 6-7 years. Past 2021, as those individual districts do incrementally start closing, the amount of pending tax relief diminishes. But as we go through time, all the numbers are indexed to different inflation factors, and so I chose to highlight 2021 as, if you wanted to look at a baseline, what's the value of those TID increments to a typical, let's not say typical, but a residential property that were valued at $300,000, it would be $634 a year.
But what does that mean? Because if you look on line 33, it talks about, it looks at the dollar amount that taxes would go up based on our long range plan. And then you're saying, so in 2021, it's only going up $91, right? For our portion?
Correct.
And how does that get offset by 634? Do you get a reduction of 500 and something thousand in your taxes?
Well, the $91 is a village-only number.
Yep.
So multiply that by 4. Approximately. For all taxing bodies. We're about 25%.
For all taxing bodies. And that's why it becomes a challenge, because every time your increment drops off of a TID during closure, you're still having tax increases, you're still showing a progressive debt schedule looking forward. So it's a single point in time that I've chosen to say, if you want to freeze the window in 2021, if nothing else changed and all those TIDs were magically closed, the impact of that is $634 per household.
But that's magic that will not take place.
Right.
Because you're still showing increasing taxes. I mean, and you still, even with that, in 2026 are increasing taxes by whatever that number may be.
When you go from 2021 to 2022, the 634 to 400, TID 1 is coming off. So there's
all the.
$234 tax receipts
is
built into
out
it.
of pending that possibly some number around there could be available to the taxing bodies. Now, is that with the fifth, isn't there some limit? on-
That's not integrated into this calculation
No,
at
this
all.
is the total, this is the
Right.
total. And
And again, I mean, the dilemma here then becomes like a similar situation we had in the police department, the implementation of the Duncan system. Where the chief was able to change his staffing levels. And it's a savings forever because he reduced his staff. But once you go to the next year, you lose that forever reference. And now you just look at costs again. So, and the same with these projection models, you know, it's hard to quantify, you know, hypothetical with and without. You know, I mean, I could play with these numbers.
I'm not sure what the 634 means. Does it mean that maybe when all of the kids close?
In $2021, it would be $624
Okay.
of savings.
Okay, but we have to wait for them to all close
We
for
do.
that. Okay.
But we're not in $2021
So the value
anymore.
of, the value of the kids that we have out there right now to the $300,000 home, once they all close, is going to be $634 to a $300,000 home
In this model, yes.
in this model. Right.
But our taxes are still going up. So for instance, can I just ask a question, like for 2018?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I know what you're saying. On line 34, from 2017 to 18, using these numbers, it looks like our taxes would go up 2.9%. There would be increasing taxes 2.9%, is that correct?
What we're looking at?
Over the last year, on line 34, just 2017 and 18?
No, it's 4.7% over previous year.
Oh, sorry.
It's not a difference.
You're right.
a way to look at this would be, let's just say that a $300,000 home has a $10,000 tax bill. When you take into account all of these kids, that $10,000 tax bill, well, to make it even easier, let's say it's $10,634, then I don't have to do any math. Okay. So let's say a $300,000 home has a tax bill of $10,634 for all taxing bodies. And that's what it would be if we had none of these incremental values by the TIDs. But once all these TIDs close, that would be a that'd be a $10,000 tax.
Right.
Your taxes won't be rising, or another way to look at it is your taxes won't be rising by an additional $630.
Right.
The other thing, again, just, I think
But
this
we
is
gotta wait
gonna,
until 2034, or whenever the TIDs close.
I think this is gonna maybe something that's behind the scenes in your calculations, is keep in mind line 32 is calculated on a fixed 2018 number. But when it is closed, that number changes.
Well, right.
So in 2022, if the TID's closed, we'll do a recalculate, and you're not going to see a $57 tax increase. But again, you have to decide where your apples are and where your oranges are, so for this projection, we fixed 132 on a 2018 division of tax base divided by 300,000. So we don't index our home values simultaneously in stream.
Is this a mistake for line 33 in year 2026? Isn't that, it's, I don't think it's supposed to be 522, because if you subtract the two, I think it's more like 52.
Okay.
Is that right? I mean, that would be huge.
Well, that's, yeah.
Oh.
Thank you. I apologize. It's a formula error of some sort.
So, okay, so you took a 2018 assessed value divided by 300,000, and you got, I mean, we have.
Net assessed, yeah.
we have about 6,000, so you've got some number like that, because we have about.
4,950, I believe, is the number I'm modeling on.
So 5,000.
And you assume that number of units.
Through the entire schedule, right?
I mean, census is we have more units than that, but whatever. And we have like 6,000 or something units. Also, we're having, I mean, Sherman is another 90, right? I mean,
Again, it's $300,000 value units, not households per se.
well, this is what I mean, the tax rate, village-only tax rate per 1,000 net assessed, okay? Oh, is that because, okay, and I'm trying to figure out why so if it's 300, if you have a $300,000 home, so it should be 300 times the tax rate. So for example, when the tax rate in 2021 goes from 8.16 and the TID closes and our tax rate goes down to 7.84,
Right.
but
Because we're using constant units on 32, it doesn't, and again, I could easily present